Hello and welcome everyone, Lionheart here, and today I will be reviewing the GAMDIAS Hermes mechanical gaming keyboard. Now, first of all I'm going to start with it in the box. You can actually see there's a little window there, so you can see some of the gaming keys in there. But I'm showing you the box. Now I don't normally do this with products, but GAMDIAS's boxes for all their products, and I have multiple reviews, so check out the multiple review introduction video to all the GAMDIAS products I'm covering. Link to that's in the description. But all of their products have some really good packaging. Now this is the back of the box, and you've got a line of pictures all along the back there. You've got some really nice artwork of some deity, which is actually upside down, so I should probably turn it up that way. Or some sort of evil god or something like that. If you guys want to know the whole story behind GAMDIAS, again, watch that little intro video because it sets up who they are. GAMDIAS means gaming art in motion, and Dias is the Latin word for God, so you should be the god of gaming by using these products. So let's have a look at this keyboard. The box art, as I've said, it's really nice. It has plenty of information on there about all the features. You know, you've got 13 additional macro keys. You've got what's called the GAMDIAS element, which I'll talk about in a moment a little bit more, but that suppresses some of the mechanical click sound, because obviously this is a mechanical keyboard. You've got 512 KB on board memory, which can set up all those macros, and you've got a 32-bit premium microprocessor that's made by ARM, and you've got a quick attach wrist rest, which I will show you why that's so awesome and useful in a moment. But anyway, yeah, so there's lots of information on the box. It's not too overpowering, you know, just nice little bits all on there about what basically makes up the product. It's called Hermes, obviously the messenger of the gods, so pretty suitable for a keyboard. So let's have a look inside the box. So here is the GAMDIAS Hermes keyboard. Out of the box, this is what you will get. And you're probably thinking, hang on, where are all the keys? Where have they gone? Well, this is one of those innovative features that GAMDIAS strive for with all their products. And you're thinking, actually, this doesn't have a wrist rest. Well, this acts as a dust cover for when you're not using your keyboard. There are all the keys. But also clips on via magnetic clips to the bottom of the keyboard to act as a wrist rest. I'm holding it here because I've actually got it off the edge of my desk, but when you push it on, you've got a really nice big wrist rest, which you can then just take off, and it holds really well because the magnets there and there. Obviously you've got the GAMDIAS name there, and just clips on, and when you don't want it, you just whack it up on top. There's nothing for it to clip onto as such there, it just rests on those keys, and it leaves the 6 macro keys along the bottom exposed, but it covers up the entirety of the rest of the keyboard, which is fantastic if, you know, you get a lot of dust in there. So let's actually take that lid off and have a look at the whole thing set up on the desk. So now with it all plugged in, you see the ZEUS logo there for GAMDIAS lit up in yellow, and the rest of the keys are all lit up red. Obviously this is during the daytime, but the keys are very bright. There is a good level of brightness here, and you can control the brightness. It's on maximum brightness at the moment, but I do have my curtains open. If I just pull them closed a little bit, we should see the colour just become a bit more vivid. But it is a really nice backlit keyboard. You can't change between different colours, it is just red, and the colour of the logo is yellow. But personally, I don't have a problem with this. This is a mechanical keyboard, so when you obviously click a key, you're going to get that nice sort of mechanical click. The GAMDIAS element is being used here because this is on cherry red switches, I do believe, and the GAMDIAS element is a little rubber kind of suppressor, which you can actually buy. Other companies offer this as an extra. GAMDIAS have included this, and you can, if you have a key puller, you can, if you want to, remove that GAMDIAS element, because the suppressor in there means that you're not actually clicking completely all the way down, but it still makes an impact. And the GAMDIAS element is designed not to, really reduce the response time from you pressing a key and interacting and giving up the command, basically. So The GAMDIAS element is recommended to obviously leave it in, but if you don't like it, you can remove it. Obviously the clicks will be louder. So actually the enter key doesn't have the GAMDIAS element, so you can hear the difference between the two. So if we press the hashtag key here, we can see, well, on my hairy fingers, we can hear the sound with the GAMDIAS element, and now the enter key without the GAMDIAS element. So you can hear the sound there. It's louder on the enter key, but I must say that you can feel the difference between the enter key not having that GAMDIAS element, which does obviously not give it a full press down. But personally, I mean, I've never used a mechanical keyboard before, so I may not see a huge amount of difference, but personally I'd probably enjoy that suppressor a little bit to reduce the sound, and it still gives really good feedback. It's quick. I haven't had any, times while using this keyboard where I've hit the wrong key, or I've pressed a key and nothing's happened, so it's all really pleasing. Something I really like about the GAMDIAS keyboard, the Hermes, is that, like other keyboards actually, it has this game mode button up here on F12. Now if you press that, that will disable the Windows key, so you won't actually accidentally press it while you're gaming, and minimize yourself to the desktop, so you'll never accidentally Alt-Tab as such. Well, obviously if you press Alt-Tab, but you won't tab out of game by pressing that Windows key button. So that's a feature I really like. You can also, with this button down here, with the Hera software, which you can download from the GAMDIAS website. If you press this button, then you can record new macros on the fly once the Hera software is installed. And let's just have a look at those macro buttons, because you're probably thinking, where actually are they? Well, you have a line down the side of 5 G keys. You have an extra M, 2 M keys here, macro keys here, because GAMDIAS have thought, well, you're often using the arrow keys, so why not have a little button just to the side of it where you can easily just move a finger quickly to get to them. And that, to me, makes perfect sense. But the ones that I love the most are these ones down at the bottom, because you're often playing with the WASD setup, your thumb hits spacebar, but it can also hit these 3 keys really easily. And likewise, just swap camera hands here, when you're using the arrow keys over here, your thumb is free to press these 3 here, which are perfectly placed, and you can press all of them. That is a perfect setup. I really, really like those macro keys. The SteelSeries Apex keyboard that I reviewed recently has a lot of extra macro keys down the side and along the top. Now they're great, but they're not exactly in the easiest of locations to access really quickly on the fly. These M keys, while there's only 6 of them along the bottom, are incredibly useful, and they are directly within, the reach of your thumb. Even if you've got a small hand, I don't have particularly large hands, and they're perfectly placed within that that range there. So for me, that's another great innovation that GAMDIAS have brought in. They've thought kind of outside the box. They've added the keys where it makes the most sense to have them, and they haven't covered up the entire keyboard with lots of extra macros. This is not a particularly busy keyboard. It's got your QWERTY setup. It's got all your standard keys that you expect. It's got a numpad. And yet it's still got plenty of room for macro keys. There's 9, no, it's not 9, there's 13 macro keys in total. And it's just a really nice setup. Now, I'll lift it up, although I will take off the wrist rest. As you can see, it is quite strong, and it will just snap on really nicely there, so it's quite a strong connection there. But if I take that wrist rest off, and I actually use this keyboard without the wrist rest the most of the time. I actually use a little sponge kind of wrist rest, because my desk isn't really that long enough to have the wrist rest that comes with the keyboard on easily. But I still use it when I'm not using the keyboard as obviously a dust protector. And the keyboard itself looks really nice actually as well without the pad on. It's really clean. Look, it's quite small, as I've said. Now, lifting it up, it's quite heavy. it's not a light keyboard. It's a mechanical keyboard, but it's also really strong, which I'll show you in a moment. Lifting up the keyboard, as you can see, it looks really nice. There's not much to to really say on this. It's, as I said, it's not big. It's reasonably heavy. It's a solid, well-built piece of kit. And to show how solid it is, I'm going to try and just show any kind of flex in it by trying to move it around. Can't do it. That it is solid. You know, looking at the back, it's got a nice pattern GAMDIAS logo design. But yeah, this thing is solid, and yes, that perhaps maybe adds a little bit of weight to it, but you know, it's nothing, you know, it's not a big keyboard, so you can easily, you know, pack it away, take it to your LAN tournament or your friend's house, something like that, you know, put it in the car. It's not a particularly huge keyboard. As I said, by minimizing the number of macro keys to just a few at the side and along the bottom, and in logical places via the arrow keys, you know, you don't have all this extra stuff added on to the length of the keyboard. Obviously, you've got those ports at the back, which are incredibly useful, but yeah, I really can't fault this particularly. The only thing I would say from an aesthetic point is that I would love to see, you know, an extra LED or two along the spacebar, just so that you don't have this kind of grey area at the ends, because it isn't then fully lit, whereas all the rest of the keys are. The function keys as well, I should say, the lighting on them, it's lit on the main letter, so it doesn't light up as much on the kind of secondary functions of those keys, you know, media controls and things like that, which are all along those F keys along the top. But ultimately, it's a very good mechanical keyboard, and this is the first mechanical keyboard I've had the chance to review and look at it. But compared to the, obviously, the non-mechanical SteelSeries Apex keyboard, well, you know, I can tell you right now, I'm going mechanical and I'm not going back. This thing is solid. It's just really responsive with all the key presses, even with that GAMDIAS element. But as I've said, you know, you can use a key removing tool and just take out that element piece. It's a small square of rubber that just goes around it, and then you'll get a full key press like the Enter key, rather than the other keys. So yeah, I'm going to give this thing this god of keyboards, this messenger of keyboards. The Hermes gets a 10 out of 10 for me. I honestly, you know, from performance-wise, can't think of any way in which they could improve. It's got plenty of macro keys, I feel. You know, unless you feel like you need a million macro keys, then, you know, you'll go for a very specific kind of keyboard. But for a solid mechanical keyboard that's going to last, a Hermes, I can't fault it at all. It's really, really nice. And the software that comes with it, I will briefly turn the camera around. Whoop. Here we go. That was quick. So this is the GAMDIAS Hermes software. So you can see I've loaded it up, and it instantly detects that the Hermes is plugged in. And if it isn't, then it will really quickly download the software for that. So you can see that you can set key assignments, macro management, keyboard luminance. So you can set how bright the keyboard is. You can't change the colors though, as I said before, but this is awesome in red. I don't see why you'd want to change that. You can assign sound and timer stuff. There's lots of settings on there. Muscle memory. The Olympics is something that's going to be coming soon, I believe. The Olympics is kind of a social platform where you can share your own gaming stats and things like that, but that's built into the Hermes software, so all GAMDIAS users can be kind of connected and boast their stats and things like that. So you can easily set key assignments, and you've got a total of 10 profiles, which is just awesome there. So you can set up loads of different profiles, which is fantastic. That's all obviously done through the onboard memory and things like that, and it's got its own little 32-bit processor. So yeah, really easy to use. And if you have other GAMDIAS products, you can see along the bottom there, you'll have them all selected, so it all does it in one single piece of software. So the Hermes software is really solid as well, which supports this solid Hermes mechanical keyboard. So as I said, this keyboard gets a full 10 out of 10. It's incredibly solid. It's got all the keys I want, and they're all really logically placed. This is innovation in gaming peripherals. They have hit the nail on the head on this one. I really can't see a fault with it, to be honest. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this product review of the GAMDIAS Hermes keyboard. Link in the description to my other reviews of the ZEUS eSports gaming mouse and EROS 7.1 virtual surround sound headset. Go check them out. Please do remember to comment, rate and subscribe, and link in the description to the GAMDIAS website for all their other products. Ciao for now.